How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be continuing my Sharks of Summer series. Sharks of Summer is a series I do around here where once a week, at least once a week during the summer, I take a look at a shark movie. And today we're actually talking about the sequel to a movie I talked about last year, and that is Three-Headed Shark Attack. This is from 2015 and is put out by the Asylum. The Asylum, primarily known for mockbusters and shark movies. If you talk about shark movies, you're going to be talking about the Asylum a lot. This is the same studio that made the Sharknado series and also the Mega Shark series. And this is directed by Christopher Douglas-Olen Ray. Now, this is the same guy that directed Two-Headed Shark Attack. But he also directed another movie for the Asylum, Shark Week, which we just talked about a bit ago. So yeah, an Asylum shark veteran here. This movie stars Karrueche Tran, Danny Trejo, and Rob Van Dam. And this time around, the plot is about a group of scientists, their intern, and some climate activist. They're in an underwater research station studying how pollution is mutating the sea life. Then their research base is torn apart by one of those mutations, the titular three-headed shark. The three-headed shark comes in, wrecks up the place, and they have to escape. In addition to escape, they have to get on a boat, make it to dry land, and try to save as many people as they can along the way while not getting picked off themselves. Now, overall, if you guys remember what I said about Two-Headed Shark Attack, I said it was fine. It was definitely an Asylum B-side, and it was definitely dumb movie fun, and not really the best thing ever, but hey, it was a fun, cheesy movie, right? And the same still holds for Part 3, or Part 2, which is Three-Headed Shark Attack. The same still holds for Three-Headed Shark Attack, but it's definitely a step down. It's just the first one, partying teens on an atoll, shark is knocking down the atoll. Kinda cheesy, but simple. In this one, you get a whole mess of characters. They even do this weird thing where they introduce a whole bunch of characters late on in the movie, and their goal isn't as simple. Go out of here, try to save people there, go over there, go back there. You know, it gets a little bit messy with the group of characters and with what they're trying to do. And yeah, the first movie wasn't super spectacular. It was dumb shark movie fun. And this movie, it still fits in that dumb shark movie fun category, but it definitely does go down a little bit from the first one because it's not as simple, it's not as focused. And even though the characters weren't great the first time around, the characters aren't as good here. But I guess one thing that everybody talks about with this movie, Danny Trejo's in it, a pretty big-name actor. However, as you may have guessed, Danny Trejo isn't in this movie terribly much. He comes in a little bit before the halfway point. You know, I said they introduced random characters later on. He comes in kind of late to this movie, and he's some distance away, and in turn, a lot of his role is talking on a walkie-talkie and driving his boat. He's a grizzled sea captain character, a very Danny Trejo character, and he does eventually come into the plot and do a few cool things, but if you're expecting a Danny Trejo movie, don't have your hopes too high. He's not in here terribly much, but he is in here. The other characters outside of Danny Trejo, that's kind of one of the problems, though, is they're not super memorable. Like, you know who your leads are and you get the gist of their characters, but there's no one super interesting, no one really a standout, you know? And they're kind of just, yeah, so, these are the scientists, these are the activists, and these are the latecomers. And speaking of the latecomers, yeah, when they get out of the base and they move into the second and third act of the movie, all of a sudden, there's a boat full of people they're trying to save from the three-headed shark. We've never seen these people before, And all of a sudden the movie goes, yeah, these ones are your main characters too. They're in the main character group. And you're like, what? We haven't seen these people before in the movie. And if they had just done some setup for the people on the boat a few scenes earlier during peace and going, hey, these are who these characters are, this is their goals, then it wouldn't seem so abrupt. But as it stands now, it's like all of a sudden the movie's like, and here are some more characters. And it just kind of comes out of nowhere. So yeah, you get characters that are introduced super late in this movie and characters that get picked off sooner than they should have. And no one really stands out super well, so the characters are a little bit of a mess here. And then also how they act, that's kind of a problem. These characters don't always make the best decisions. Strangely enough, they're way too eager to go and sacrifice themselves. And it leads to at least a couple scenes where like, wait, was that completely necessary? There's one guy that, you know, makes an epic move on the shark and it's shot all epically and it's him sacrificing himself. But you're like, did he need to do that? And did that really help anything? And yeah, there's some cases like that. There's a few cases where characters want to go and risk their lives to try to save someone who's clearly already dead. So yeah, they get a little frustrating sometimes. And actually it can get a little comical. There's one scene where they're like, we got to go to this atoll, it's the only land we can reach. And there's clearly land in the background, and it's like, idiot characters, there's land right over there. And then there's a guy they find somewhere, one of the last characters they meet up with, and he's like, oh, I've been stuck here. Yet they talk to him a little bit, and they find there's an easy way off this island, and I'm like, why did he not leave earlier? So yeah, there's some frustrating moments, and the plan they come up with at the end, while it does work, it just makes so little sense, and you're like, really, that's the plan we're going with? You think that's gonna work? Okay, well, it's gonna work because it's the end of the movie, but normally I would say no. So yeah, the characters aren't that great, but let's talk about the shark. The shark is, of course, a 3D model, and it's a pretty well-designed 3D model. It's not gonna fool you into thinking it's real, but it's a cool three-headed shark. You know, it's a cool creature. What can you say? And what I do like is the Asylum does go for it. You know, a lot of these micro-budget shark movies that I've been watching lately, you either get a 3D model of a shark or you get stock footage of the shark, and then you get someone in the water going, ah, and then you edit them together until the character dies. But here, the Asylum is going to give us interaction. Even if it looks cartoony, and yeah, sometimes you feel like you're watching a cartoon, the Asylum's still going to give us that interaction, and we're going to see the CGI shark actually tear people up. And yeah, it doesn't always look the best, but it's still fun. Now, that being said, the shark's a little underutilized. There are a few scenes where he eats 3 people at once. Those are cool. But a lot of the stuff this shark does, it's stuff any Asylum shark could do, you know? They needed to think of more things that only a 3-headed shark could do, or have him tear through things at 3 times the speed. You know, I wanted to see this shark impress me a little more. I wanted to see this shark really tear things up. It should be 3 times more powerful than a regular shark, right? And yeah, it does some cool things. I just wish we got some 3-headed shark-specific gags other than the few that we got where it's like eating 3 people at once. I wanted to see something more specific, you know? So he's a little underutilized, and also this time around he eats garbage, which I thought was kind of funny. I don't know. But he eats garbage now, and you'll see him swimming under the water, and there'll be a can, and he'll be like, So, take with that what you will. But anyway, yeah, it's just a little unfocused. It's not as good as the first one. But for an Asylum shark movie B-side, hey, it's still fun. Why not, you know? So, dumb, cheesy fun. Not super well put together. But hey, it is what it is. All that being said, I want to go ahead and take a little bit more of a specific look at the plot. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to analyze a few points in the movie and say my piece on it. I'll just be avoiding how the movie ends. So let's go ahead and dive in. We open up with the prologue. The prologue, a lot of young partying college students, and they're on this atoll. Now, I'm not sure if it's the same atoll from Two-Headed Shark Attack or if it's a different atoll. They never say. But they're partying on this atoll, lots of dumb college kids, and then you get one of them who says, hey, and he's talking to this young, attractive girl in a bikini. He goes, hey, I bet you that if I swim out all the way to that buoy, if I can do that and come back, then you have to go skinny dipping. And she takes the bet, which I think it's a weird bet because, like, the buoy's not that far out. If you know how to swim, it's relatively easy. But they're like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, and then you're gonna skinny dip, right? And of course, as soon as she gets in the water, the shark comes along and wreaks havoc on this atoll, much like he did to the last one, and it's going to be a bloodbath. And also, I guess I should mention the whole skinny dipping scene. Yeah, the DVD, if you read across the top, uncensored and unrated. They shot a few scenes pretty much early on in this movie, I think just to sell the DVDs. Whatever, you know. There's a few things they don't show on the Sci-Fi Channel. But anyway, after that we switch into our main characters, and you get this young girl who's an intern at this under-the-sea research station, and there's a group of climate activists that pull up, and they say, hey, let's give you both the tour at the same time, so we can show you guys all around at the same time. And a few things with this. One, the whole climate activism thing. There's a lot you can say there, and you know, you should try to help the Earth out. This is a very shallow look at it. It's basically, don't pollute and don't throw your trash in the water. And yes, don't pollute and don't throw your trash in the water. That's very true. But it's just a surface look at what is a bigger and complexer issue, and I feel like them being scientists with this advanced research station, maybe they would instinctively go a little deeper than that, but whatever. But another thing is, the intern actually recognizes one of the activists. It's one of her ex-boyfriends, and they broke up when he dropped out of college, and now there's some romantic tension. And you know how I said the characters weren't handled super great in here? Yeah, this plot kinda goes nowhere. It's a setup, you know, you want to give your main character have something going on for her, right? So introduce an ex-boyfriend and there's still some romantic tension there. That's the setup. You need setup, execution, and payoff. And the execution, so-so. They talk about, isn't it funny how we took our separate paths and we both ended up here? Yeah, it's whatever. So the execution and in turn the payoff aren't super great. And that's one of the things you have to learn when you write characters is you can't just throw these interesting traits at them. You have to then do something with the interesting traits. And then you have to have that put the character in an interesting place at the end. But yeah, set up with not much payoff, whatever. They tried with the main character, and that's more than a lot of the other characters get. So, again, doesn't really go anywhere. But they tour around the base, and they find there's a bunch of specimens, these animals that are a little different. They've been mutated because of all the pollution. And that will explain where the three-headed shark came from. And I do like, you know, the last one, Two-Headed Shark, he just kind of shows up, you know, so I do like they gave him an origin in this one. They explain where he came from. That was cool. So he shows up, he's drawn to the garbage, remember he eats it, and he starts to attack the station, and a bunch of randos get picked off. It's not the best organized concept here. You do get like a guy at the toilet gets eaten and okay, that's kind of funny, but for the most part these are a lot of randos, and I do like the idea of an underwater research station. It's really a classic trope in underwater horror, is this underwater research station, and I do like the CGI model they put down there, But at the same time, when you're actually in the underwater research station, it is most definitely an office building. And I have to give the Asylum major props. They found a way to shoot the first third of a shark movie inside an office building. That's kind of clever. But yeah, it's just an office building. It's not the most spectacular thing ever. They say they're so far underground, yet they walk through a door and they pretty much instantly go to the surface. They really did need a shot of like an elevator or stairs or something, because you feel like you're just below the surface with how quickly they go in and out of the base. But whatever, the shark is going to destroy it, and I like the concept, not the best execution, but they're eventually going to get out, and when they get out, they're going to see that this shark is going to also attack this other boat in the ocean. It is a pleasure craft full of a bunch of young partying college students, and the shark is going to attack their boat. They have to try to save them, which does introduce a whole bunch of characters super late in the movie, which isn't the best thing ever. If they had set up this craft with all these students on it earlier on, it wouldn't seem as jarring. It would slow the pace down a little bit, but this isn't a super long movie. But yeah, all of a sudden, a few of the characters on this other boat get magically bumped up to main characters, and they have to try to help as many of these people out as they can when the three-headed shark attacks that boat. But of course they're on their radio and they can't get too many people, but they eventually get Danny Trejo, and they have to convince him that yes, there is a three-headed shark out there, and yes, help us out. And he is a really tough, grizzly sea captain, and when you finally get him on your side, he's good to have as an ally. But that being said, not in the movie too terribly much. He is there, just not as much as he could be, and I wish we got more Danny Trejo. But anyway, from there on out, fight to survive. Not the best decisions made along the way, and the way they find to finish the movie, the final idea is kind of dumb and doesn't seem to really go with what was set up earlier. But hey, whatever. So yeah, this is definitely a B-side for the shark movies. A B-side Asylum shark movie. And I felt the first one was okay as well, and this one is just a little bit of a step down. I think with the multi-headed shark attack movies, is I think they sell just because of the name. You can't pass up three-headed shark attack, right? So it's just too much of a good name for people to ignore. And then after this, we would jump to five-headed shark attack. Don't know why we didn't do 4, but hey, we're jumping to 5. And then after that, we have 6. So they made 4 total of these. So the series did pretty well. And I definitely am curious to see those. I'm not sure when I'll get to them, but I am curious to round out the quadrilogy there. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Sharks playlist. If you guys want to see more of me talking about shark movies, I've talked about Two-Headed Shark Attack. I talked about Shark Week, which is also the Asylum, and the same director. And I've talked about every single Sharknado movie. So if you want to see me talk about more shark movies, you can find them right there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Shark playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.